So, hi everyone, it's Adela here from Boss Women, and today I'm interviewing the lovely Sarah. Sarah is a divorce coach. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Hi, Adela. I'm a divorce coach for high achieving women, um, and I help them in the early stages of divorce to get unstuck and to get rid of their negative thoughts and to rediscover themselves so that they can be happier and stronger than ever before.
Excellent. Wow, that's a really good thing that you're doing there. It's a very emotional time going through a divorce.
It is.
Yeah, so to have somebody there kind of helping you along the way is
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. So I mean, at what point do you come in then? Because a lot of people think, oh, I need help afterwards. After the
Mhm.
divorces, I'll just deal with it. They're in this kind of pilot mode.
Yeah.
So at what point do you come in
So
to?
I work with my clients at three different points. So the first is if they're thinking about divorce, but they're not entirely sure, then I can work with them to work out what's wrong with their relationship and what would need to change for it to work so that they can go away with an action plan and say for 3 months they can work on their relationship so that if then they do decide to end it, they know they're doing so with no regrets and they're doing the right thing. But most of my clients come to me, I would say, either between 2 weeks and 3 months after the separation. That's when they're in the very vulnerable stage, they're very emotional. Or they come 18 months, 2 years after the divorce, where they've gone through the legal process, but they're stuck and not able to move on with their new life, and they don't know what their future looks like without their ex.
So that's really interesting that you said that then, because then a lot of people think that maybe they need help after they've divorced, they've done their financial settlements and things like
Mm.
that. Once it's all done and dusted, but where in fact it would actually be more beneficial then, from what you're saying, for them to come to you at the point that they're thinking of a
Mm.
divorce, because then I guess you can help coach them
Yeah.
at that point, which is going to help them be a bit more stronger and well, I said less emotional, but they'll be able to deal with their emotions a lot
Yeah.
better, I guess.
Yeah, so I give them like transformational tools and techniques to actually help them deal with their emotions on an everyday basis. I mean, divorce is a traumatic time. It's the second most stressful event that you can go through in your lifetime. So it's good just to put that in context, but also um, having the emotional support from a coach means that they can make better decisions from a legal point of view. So they're not making decisions out of anger or wanting to get revenge or anything like that. That can actually make the decisions that are right for them in the long term and for their future as well.
Mm. So if somebody was to come to you then, Sarah, and say, I'm thinking about a divorce, or I'm not sure what to do, like how do you start? Like, if someone was just to come to you and ask you that question, what would be your process? What would you do? What's the ins and outs of that, and
Mm-hmm.
what is involved in your kind of packages that you
Yeah.
provide and service that you provide?
So if they were separating, there's kind of a process that I would take them through. The first is to help them get acceptance and acknowledge where they're at, to come to terms with that, because um, when you go through divorce, you're actually going through a grief process,
Mm,
and there's 5 different stages to that. The first one is you're very often you're in denial, especially if you weren't the person to initiate the divorce.
mhm,
So you're in shock and denial. Then you go into a stage of anger where your emotions are much higher and your energy levels are much higher. Then you go into bargaining, and that's kind of the phase when you'll try and do everything you can to get the relationship back on track. And then you'll hit depression, which is a very obviously low mood and low energy phase. And then finally, you'll go on to acceptance. Um, and you don't go through that process in a linear fashion either. So you don't go through denial and then anger necessarily. You can jump between all the different stages, and you could even go through a few of those in the same day. So first of all, it's helping the client understand that. When I went through my own divorce, nobody explained that to me, and I just think it would have made a difference to know that, and it would help me be kinder to myself.
mm,
So help them accept and acknowledge where they're at, and give them the tools to be able to manage their emotions themselves. be able to flip things around and look more positively at things, which obviously takes time. Then we look at building up their self-esteem and confidence, which often just takes real battering again, especially if you weren't the one that ended the relationship. So yeah, build them up there, help them build their resilience. I have a lot of clients that say to me, you know, my husband, for example, used to make all the decisions. I had a lady yesterday who used to be really independent, but just in her marriage, you know, her husband did certain things and she did other roles, and that's just natural. So it's building up their resilience again so that they know they're capable, that they can make good decisions. And then we look at what they want for their future. So we help them to gain clarity on that. And we do lots of exercises around that. And we do things like their breakup bucket list and vision boarding, and really encourage them kind of to think outside the box, and just remind them of things that they love doing, that maybe they loved doing when they were younger, that they didn't do when they were in the relationship. So it's just really opening up the opportunities for them and helping them realize that they can still have an amazing life. It's just different to how they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting. Kind of the different. I think, was it the fear? The 5 ways of coming. What is that called?
Yeah, so it's denial,
yeah,
anger,
yeah,
bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Yeah. So like, and you know, a lot of people go through this as, I guess, just sort of generally in life when they're going through something. And it's interesting that you say that you then use different tools and techniques kind of to help them along the way. What kind of tools and techniques do you use? I know you mentioned vision boards as well. So is like a vision board like a part of the tools that you use, and what other kind of tools and techniques would you help people
in the later stages? So in the earlier stages, so for example, their self-confidence, it's tools of like reminding them what they've achieved in the past, so that they can you know, draw on that strength, because I think it's only human nature sometimes, you know, we look at things that we've got to do and we don't always celebrate our achievements. So it's trying to pull those out of them so they can draw strength from it. There's an exercise, you know, which I found really difficult at the time, was writing down what you like about yourself, which you know, we don't ever do that, and I really struggled to do that when I was going through my divorce. And then things like they'll ask their friends what they love about them. So, you know, encouraging them just to find out what they love about themselves. There's other techniques. There's a lot of NLP techniques that we use. So, for example, if the client's really worried about bumping into their ex, we do an NLP technique called mind movies, where we get them to visualize it and imagine it on a big screen in front of them. And they imagine how they want to react when they see their ex. And the idea is, you know, you make that bigger and bolder. And you keep going over that and practicing it in your head. So eventually your brain doesn't know the difference between what's happening now and what's imagined. So if you did bump into your ex, your brain clicks in and it knows how you're going to react. It's ready for it. So it takes away a lot of that anxiety about thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do if I bump into them? There's lots of really practical techniques. Again, at the early stages, it's things like we do an exercise called take off rose tinted glasses. Again, we naturally romanticize our relationships when they've finished. So it's trying to bring some reality in and get the client to say, actually, I wasn't really happy with these things. It wasn't all rosy. And yeah, trying to get some perspective on it as well. So there's lots of different techniques depending on where they're at. And like you said, the vision boarding at the end. So either doing it online or going through magazines and pulling out pictures that represent things that they want in their future.
So yeah, again, that's really, really interesting, because there's a lot of techniques that you use there, which will be very helpful. And I guess everybody that comes to you is going to be different. Exactly. And everybody's you'll need to use different tools and techniques for everyone, because everyone's an individual, I guess, and everyone deals with things differently. So it's good that you have those. And one thing that I find really interesting, what you said, is about the NLP, because I find that really, really interesting. So NLP, for anybody that doesn't know, it's about neuro-linguistic pathways, I think. Is that right? Programming. Okay, scrap the pathways, programming. So tell us a little bit more about that then, because I just find that really, really intriguing.
So it's based on the premise that you can change, by changing your thoughts, you can change your behaviors. So it's very much looking at your language, which is where the linguistic bit comes in, and then what's going on in your brain and your thoughts, and being conscious of those and changing them. And it's very powerful.
It's because it is. I've heard from one of my friends had it done herself, the NLPing, and when she was telling me about it, it was just absolutely brilliant, and it worked a treat for her as well. So that's why I'm really, because with the kind of like newer pathways and things like that,
exactly.
It's and it's like you're training your brain essentially, isn't it?
You're rewiring your brain.
From when, I guess, and it can work from when, not only from when you've had a divorce or you're going through a divorce, thinking about going through, or a bad relationship or separation. It's like from when you're a child, you're wired by things around you, from your family, from your parents. But then in order to change that and go forward, because your parents will only pass on to you what they have learned from their parents, and so on and so forth. But then in order to change that and move forward, because I guess there will be some things that are holding them back. And I guess the same with the whole divorce thing as well, where they have things, as you said, the lady that you spoke to yesterday, I think you said, she was completely independent before she got married, and then she's only does certain things but doesn't know how to do other things. But then that's like, you're helping her then using that technique to go back to how she was before. And it's not easily done. It's really, really hard work. Because people think like at a click of a finger, just like that, it's fine, it'll happen, but it is really hard work. And I guess, do you think it's got things to, like, okay, you're rewiring the way you think, but in terms of confidence as well, and do you think that's got a lot to do with it as well?
I think so. I think the things with rewiring how you think, it's changing your habits, which I think they say takes from 21 to 60 days. And it uses up a lot of energy in your brain as well, which is why, often we give up, because it just feels like it's too much effort. It's not easy. The great thing about NLP is that it can be used on anything in your life. It doesn't even have to be going through a divorce or trauma. It's just literally anything you want to change. So even if you wanted to break a habit, it could be used for that. I mean, I'm not qualified at the moment. I use techniques that we've learned through my divorce coaching qualification, but I would like to do it in future to learn a lot more about it.
And do you know what? I think that makes you a bit different to everybody else. I mean, I haven't seen any divorce coaches anywhere else. I think I've only ever met one before in my many, many years of survival. But I think it's a very American thing as well, I think, isn't it?
It's huge in America and Australia as well.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but it is growing very rapidly over here. So it's it's a new niche in coaching. And it's something that I wish I'd had access to when I went through my own divorce. It would have made such a difference to me.
Yeah. And I think you've said that before as well, actually, when we've spoken on previous occasions as well. And I think what makes you different is the fact that you've been through it, because you've been through a divorce already. You know what kind of goes on, and you're not just as opposed to somebody who's a divorce coach but hasn't been through a divorce before. They will understand to some degree, but they won't understand fully the emotions that somebody is going through. And I think that sets you aside from from a lot of other people, and that's what really makes you a niche as well, because you can relate to people.
It definitely means I've got the empathy. I was literally at rock bottom, so I can completely empathize with people and what they're going through. And I think also, because I've come through it, I can give them hope as well. I can say to people that you will get through it. I did. And I think when I went through mine, none of my friends or family had been divorced. So I felt like a real failure and ashamed. I didn't have anyone to talk to that had gone through it. All that I had was counselling, and that didn't help me move forward. It has its place, but it doesn't give you the tools and techniques and like the action plans like you have with divorce coaching.
Yeah, because I think counseling to a degree is good.
Mm,
But as you say, it doesn't have, it's more about talking, I think, isn't it? The
exactly.
counseling.
Yeah.
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 Whereas in order to progress, because you do all the NLP, the techniques, the vision boards,
Mm,
and all of that, it's just absolutely brilliant. I think
yeah.
the way we can bring somebody out of that.
Yeah.
Um, so then, because you've been through it then yourself, is that one of the reasons then that you started your business, or what was the reason that you started your business as a
Yeah.
divorce
So
coach?
I'd always wanted my own business, literally right from university. So
Yeah.
I did a business finance and economics degree,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I wanted my own business, and kind of gave me that broad business knowledge. Then I trained as an accountant. But again, I worked in industry as well for nearly 20 years, but I always loved coaching my teams. That was the bit that I really loved rather than the numbers part. Um, and I did my coaching qualification in 2016. And then a friend went through a divorce, and it just reminded me that there, you know, even then, so this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, there wasn't really any support out there. Divorce
Mm-hmm.
coaches, there were a couple of divorce coaches, and that was literally it. Um, and then I found Sarah Davison, who's doing the divorce accreditation, so the
Mm-hmm.
actual qualification, and did that. And it was amazing. I loved it. And I do love it. I just honestly, every time I have a session with a client, it's just so rewarding. And just knowing that you've been able to, you know, help them, like, you know, take away some of their anxiety and given them some action points that are going to help them move forward. So, yeah, it's funny how things happen at a time and for a reason, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. And you meet the right people at the right time.
Definitely. I
Because I
really
think,
believe that.
yeah, I think so. And I think that had you started your divorce coaching or thought about this divorce coaching prior to getting divorced yourself,
Mm.
it probably wouldn't have pushed you, maybe, I guess,
I think so.
to do it,
Yeah.
as much as after you've
Uh,
got divorced.
I
Yeah.
think I can recognise how much it's needed, and I know what difference it would have made to
Mm,
me. I mean, that was the part that was missing, and I stayed stuck for a long time because I
yeah.
just didn't know. You know, I was like I was saying, one of these clients that come to me 18 months, 2 years afterwards, still
Mm,
stuck. I was like that, and I was also heartbroken for a long time as
mm.
well, and I just didn't know how to get myself out of it.
Yeah, I guess I mean, you can't see a light at the end of the tunnel, I
No,
guess, when you're going
no,
through it. Because, and then you have people kind of, putting their two pence in about, oh, you should do it this way or you
yeah,
should do it that way,
exactly.
and those kind of things. And it's like, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
um,
everyone has an opinion.
that's it. And you're like, well, who am I supposed to listen to? And please just leave me alone.
Yeah,
At least if you have that coach there, you can go and speak to them. And they all tell you, I guess you'll tell people independently from a third party point of view with a fresh pair of eyes.
mm,
And I guess that's what everybody needs,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's amazing the fact that Sarah, you were an you did business finance economics at uni.
yeah.
You then I went to do accountancy. You were an accountant, and now you're doing divorce coaching. I mean, it's just completely different,
It's totally different, isn't it? Yeah,
completely different. And do you
yeah.
miss the accounting side of things then, or
No, because the bit I loved about
that
it
was a
was
quick
the
no?
people. The bit I loved was the people. So when I left Sony,
Mm,
I set up my own finance company, and I worked with small companies doing their management accounts for them.
mm,
And I liked that again because I felt like I was making more of a difference than in a larger organization necessarily. And again, just got to know the people really well. So what's always driven me, I am interested in business, and I guess that's having my own business satisfies that, but it's always been the people side that's driven me.
I think people are the ones that kind of matter in everything you do, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think so. You've been very entrepreneurial then, anyway.
Mm,
Okay, you've done the whole uni thing, and you went working in industry.
yeah.
But, you've then done your own business in kind of finance, but then moved over to divorce coaching. So do you
Mm.
do any of the finance at all? Is that just
No, I
completely
stopped doing that a year ago just to
right?
concentrate on this. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that kind of just shows, like, anybody listening then to this interview, it just shows you that you can start in a business. It
Mm,
doesn't necessarily mean that you have to finish in that business.
exactly. Yeah.
When you retire or whatever, you can, if you change your, it's okay to change your mind, I guess, as you
Yeah,
go along, you know, because people
yeah,
think, oh, I've got a business idea, I want to start it, I must do it, I must be successful in this,
yeah.
which is absolutely brilliant. But businesses like this,
Mm.
and then if you know, you've done your finance side of things, I guess you probably didn't enjoy that as much as you're enjoying divorce,
Oh no,
uh,
yeah,
divorce coaching.
yeah.
So, you know, you've done one business, that's
Mm.
fine. You don't want to do it anymore. You've gone and
No,
started another one.
exactly. And
So
I was
that's
at
okay.
yeah, I was at a seminar a couple of years ago. How they were saying about the millennials, they will have much more what they call a portfolio career, and that
Mm,
they won't be like it was years ago, where you start in one job, as you said, and you stay there until you
yeah.
retire, and they probably necessarily won't even be employed. They'll have,
Mm,
a few different things that they do. Like, for example, I was doing my divorce coaching for a bit alongside my finance to start with. And then, might be doing, we've got a property, so rental income, and that's very much the way things are going in future.
yeah. And I think it's all about working smarter than
Yeah,
harder as well. So,
definitely.
you know, you've got, and it's always good to have more than one income stream as well,
Mm. I
which is always good.
think COVID has shown us that, hasn't it, over the
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, definitely. So I think that, I mean, how do you then in this whole, because you started your business, you said about a year ago, and this
Mm.
whole pandemic started about a year ago. I know
Yeah.
we're all talking about it, and I wish we didn't have to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it because you started your business about a year ago.
Yeah.
So how have you find that? How have you found starting a business
Mm.
in a lockdown situation, in a corona pandemic situation? How have you found that?
It's been tough,
Mm,
because I think people being stuck together at home, if they've wanted to separate, they haven't practically been able to do much about it.
yeah.
With the kids at home, they haven't really been able to talk about it. So in terms of clients, it's been quite quiet. It's picking up now. But what I did, was use the time, because literally when you start a business, I just found I didn't know what I didn't know.
Mm,
So I've spent a lot of time learning about marketing and sales. I had a real mindset issues around sales. I don't like being sold to, which made it very difficult for
yeah.
me thinking that I was selling to people. So I've had to do a lot of work on that, and that's still ongoing.
Yeah.
I didn't even really use social media. I was on Facebook, but I never posted anything. I wasn't even on Instagram. So it's been like a huge learning curve. So I've used the time to do all my learning to get things in place for when I do get busier.
Hmm.
And also, I've done a lot of networking, which I think has been really valuable. When I was in my finance role, I hated networking.
Really?
It was typically what you would expect from like traditional accountants, older men in grey suits, and it was very contrived. Whereas,
Yeah.
we met through networking, and
Yeah.
I just love it now, because now when it's your own business, it's about making genuine relationships with people and
Mm.
seeing how you can work together. So I
Yeah.
do, probably spend nearly a day a week networking at the moment.
Which is really really good, and that was going to be one of my next questions actually about
Mm,
networking, and what do you think? I mean, is there a power in networking? And you've just answered that. And yes,
definitely.
of course there is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the important thing is to do it with, an objective. So like if you go to, arranged networking meetings like Athena Group, for
Mhm.
example, know that you want to get something out of it. So don't just go to the meeting, know that you want to connect with a couple of people and follow up with one-to-ones after. So you have to, be proactive. It's not just turning up to the meetings. You need to do things with it afterwards to keep those relationships going and develop those relationships.
And I guess that again helps you with your divorce coaching, because you could potentially meet a lot of lawyers, I guess, family lawyers
Yeah,
who, and then you can get in touch with them, and
yeah,
that's, I guess, again the power of networking as well.
yeah,
And it's not always necessarily the people in that room. They may not be able to help you directly, but it may be who
yeah.
they know, because you just don't know who anyone knows.
No, because
So
I don't think we met directly, did we? I think Athy introduced us.
yeah, we came through somebody
Yeah,
else.
yeah, it's,
And yeah, it kind of went around the
yeah,
houses, but we're sat here today,
yeah,
and again, this is the power of networking,
mm,
which is absolutely brilliant.
mm,
And I think it really really helps with the business side of things as well, like you
definitely.
said. None of us ever like to network or anything like that, but
No.
um I talk a lot anyway, so I'm okay.
I enjoy it now, actually. So
Yeah,
I was resistant for a long time. I probably started properly, I think it was last June. So I've been doing it just over 6 months.
yeah. Oh, excellent. That's really, really good to hear. And then what about so what's your I'm gonna ask you your top three tips, Sarah,
Mm.
to anybody listening about business or life in general. What is your top three tips that you would give?
Um, I think if you're starting your own business,
Mm.
do the research first.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that there is a business there, a business opportunity there. I mean, I think if other people are in the area, I used to think if there was lots of people doing it, then there wasn't space. That's coming from a scarcity mindset. But actually, if lots of people are doing it, it's an indication that there's a good market there. Um, I would say in life and in business, outsource as much as you can.
Love that one.
And again, you have to change your mindset with that a bit, because I have a cleaner now and I never wanted to get one.
Yeah.
But you have to weigh up, one, it's where your skills are and where do you best spend your time, and also what's an hour of your time worth compared to what you're paying the person that you outsource. So it can be really false economy sometimes to think I'll do it myself, it's going to cost me
Yeah.
10-15 pounds, for example. So it's stepping back and thinking what that's worth. What else? I would say perseverance, really. I think setting up your own business,
Yeah.
it's difficult and it is a slog at the beginning, but alongside with that, do what you're passionate about and what you love as well, because life's too short.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely. Absolutely 100% agree with every one of those. And life is too short. If you want to eat the cake, eat the cake.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's absolutely brilliant. And one last question, Sarah. If you were a superhero,
Yeah,
who would you be and why?
I think I would have to be Catwoman, because I adore
Oh,
cats. I've got four of them. I did have five at one point.
wow, really?
I love all wildlife. My passion is wildlife photography, but in particular, I love cats.
Wow, that's
They
amazing.
make me smile every day.
Yeah, I get they're I guess they're quite therapeutic as well,
They are. They're really good for
Yeah.
stress. Really good for stress.
Yeah, do you know? I think I'm gonna get a cat.
Honestly, ours have been great during lockdown. They've been such
Yeah,
good company. And
that
it's
could be
been
one of your.
proven, hasn't it, that if you
Has
stroke
it?
them, it reduces your stress levels. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Dogs or
Okay.
cats.
I'm definitely gonna get a cat then.
Oh,
I'm gonna get a cat. Watch
not
this
allowed
space.
anymore.
I guess that could help with one of the techniques as well, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 With
And if you had a dog, it gets you out for a walk in the fresh air, which
yeah.
is one of the things that we say is really good to get some
Yeah.
routine and just to move your body.
Excellent. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. It's been absolutely brilliant doing this interview. Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
having me.
It's been really informative. And if anybody wants to contact you, would you want to tell people your details?
Yeah. My website is www.sarah-woodward.com, or I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Sarah Woodward _divorce coach.
Excellent. And if anybody wants any advice or has any questions for Sarah, please do get in touch with her. That'd be absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Sarah. Have an awesome day. And hopefully we shall catch up soon.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.